Hello there. Welcome into another episode of the Fat Guy Podcast. I'm the Fat Guy. Most people just call me Brett. Thanks for coming along today. If you are not following us on social media, we got your Twitter, we got your Instagram, we got your Facebook, and my username on all of those is Fat Guy Podcast. So we're easy to find. And however you get your podcast, subscribe to us. That would be awesome. That way you never miss an episode. And just search for us. Fat Guy Podcast is what you're looking for. Man, we're on so many platforms now, from iHeartRadio to Stitcher, Google Play Store, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict on Android, Spotify, Castbox. Oh, God, there's so many of them. I can never remember them all. So it's not hard to find us. Thanks so much for subscribing. Share it with a friend. You never know who you'll help. Let's talk about these November. So I have a friend, actually my best friend, and she is my partner in health. Like, she's the person I can unload on about how down I am about things like my foot healing, and she puts up with so much crap. She really does. She listens to all the bad. But on the other side, we're constantly talking about our fasting, our diet, the way we're eating, what kind of exercise we're doing, what kind of goals we're setting, and cheering each other on. And so she's invaluable to me. And nevertheless, we were talking about goals. She revealed to me that her November goal was to lose 6% body fat. Now, losing 6% body fat in a month, I don't know if anybody's ever looked into that. You've run the numbers. You've tried things like that. You've done research on it. But I'm just going to tell you, losing 6% body fat, and she's not talking about pounds. Like, she's going to get her body fat measured, and then at the end of the month, she's going to see if she's lost 6% body fat. That is a goal. Like, you don't even know what a goal that is, probably. So it inspired me to come up with a big goal for November. And I set it today, November 1st. And I'm shooting for 15 pounds lost in November. Now, November has, 31 days? So I have to lose about a half a pound a day is what I have to do. It's doable, but it's tough. Because you're looking at that's 3.5 pounds a week or so. A little more that I got to lose. That's quite an ordeal. Now, I worked it out in percentages in case anybody wants to do a November goal with me. So, depending on where your weight is right now, losing 15 pounds would be crazy for a lot of people. If you only got 15 pounds to lose, losing that 15 pounds in a month is going to be hard. So those last 20, 15, 10, 5, they're the hardest to lose. You have to be patient. You have to plug along. You have to be very strict with your macros and intake and all that stuff. But for me, 15 pounds is 4% of my body weight. So you can jump in on the goal with me if you do 4%. So if you don't understand how percentages work, it's real easy. Grab you a calculator and put your weight in there and multiply it times 0.04. So if you weigh 200 pounds, put in your calculator 200 times 0.04, and that's how many pounds you have to lose. And if it's below, if the end of it is like 0.4, let's say it's like 7.4, you can round that down to 7. If it's 7.5, you'd round that up to 8. So 0.5 and higher, you round up. 0.4 and lower, you round down. And let's do it. You can join in on with me. I'll be giving updates along the way, probably weekly updates, probably be best, because weight fluctuates so much from day to day. And I don't know if I'm going to hit it. It'll be difficult. I'll just be honest with you. I have to be super consistent. I have to be dead on my macros. I'm going to have to do quite a bit of intermittent fasting and with some extended fasting. So I'll just lay out my game plan for you. My game plan is to never go less than 24 hours between meals. So that means I'm going to be doing one meal a day minimum every day. 2 days a week at least, maybe 3 days a week, or 3 times a week. I want to stretch it out to maybe a 36-hour fast, which is basically alternate day. So how that works is let's say you have dinner at 7 today. Tomorrow you don't eat anything, and then the next morning at 7 you can eat again. So you're basically skipping a day, and it works out to 36 hours. Those are very powerful, and they're very doable. And then as the month goes on and I see where I'm at, I may have to work in 48s. I may have to hit a 72. I don't know. But I'm going to try to be consistent and reasonable the first week, then readjust for the second week, try to stay on track. Now, I don't want to get too crazy with the not eating and fasting because I'm really trying to keep the eating up to where it's just exactly what I need to lose weight and not drastic. And I'm trying to keep the fasting where it's reasonable, it's healthy, and I don't have to try really hard to go long. Not that there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with a 5-day. For somebody my size, I could go 30, 60, 90, 120, 150 days without food and I'd be fine. But I don't want to get into that. I'm just trying to keep it on the real. So what are some, let's do about the diet. So I'm just going to be keto, but I'm going to try to be mostly keto carnivore. So what does keto carnivore mean? I've pretty much eliminated greens and stuff from my diet. Like I've been doing research hardcore for the past 4 or 5 months. I've had a lot of downtime with the embolism, with the broken foot, with the blood clots and all that stuff. I've spent a lot of time where I didn't have anything to do but research. And I've 100% determined that you just don't need plants to be healthy. You just don't. You need to eat good meat. You need to eat you some good, mostly red meat. That's where most of the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients are at. And you need to work in some organ meat along the way. Doesn't mean you have to eat like liver every day, but you need to work some liver in there once a week or so. And you get way more nutrients from that. And fiber, I'm going to do a podcast, I think, on fiber. You don't have to have fiber for constipation or digestive health or any of that. That's such a myth, man. There's this great study I found on fiber that I'm just not going to get into it here because that's not what this podcast is about. So I'm going to do a keto, but I'm going to do probably mostly carnivore keto. And so that's going to involve mostly eating steak, hamburger meat, eggs, bacon, butter, some real whole cheeses, not a ton of cheese, but some cheeses, and maybe some sour cream here and there, and yogurt, which is my new favorite thing. Well, it's not my new favorite thing. Yogurt's been my favorite thing for a long time. But not this garbage that you find takes up 99.9% of the yogurt shelf space. In that 0.1% of the shelf space, you can find full whole-fat Greek yogurt or at least 100% Greek yogurt that they've taken some of the fat out of. Either one of those work. Like Fage, which is spelled F-A-G-E, has that 5%. So it's 5% milk fat is in it. So the fat's been cut. There's no added sugars in it at all, just the sugars that come associated with doing the yogurt. And so I think for a cup of that, it's something like 7-8 grams of carbs. Walmart has one that's called Stonehenge or Stone something. I don't know. It's full fat. Like the fat is off the chain in that yogurt. The carbs are a little bit higher. I think for a cup, I think the carbs are 12. But for a half cup serving, that's 6 carbs. And if you're mostly carnivore, you're not really getting carbs from anything else. You can eat 2 eggs and 4 or 5 slices of bacon or whatever, and that's going to grand total have like 1 carb in it. Steak, it's going to have like half a carb if you eat a big old steak. And hamburger meat is going to have like half a carb if you eat a pound of hamburger meat. So the great thing about being carnivore is counting carbs is it's like it's a no-brainer. You're just never going to go over your carbs. Like the way I'm eating, it's 6 to 10 carbs a day without even thinking about it. And so I really like it. It makes it easy to stay on track. There's no cravings. I have no sugar cravings. And I know people are going to freak out. People freak out about fasting. They tell you you're going to die. Oh, God forbid. Now you tell somebody you're going to be eating more of a carnivore type lifestyle. They're going, well, you got to have your broccoli. You got to have your spinach. The truth of the matter is you don't. You just don't. I can't tell you, if I told you how many hours I have invested looking at the literature on all this, I'd say the past 4 months, you'd be shocked. It'd be more than a full-time college student. It'd be more time than a person getting their doctorate. I mean, I just really have spent a lot of time in it. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there. The last thing that people always ask about is exercise. If you follow me at all, you know I'm not a proponent of exercise for weight loss, anything more than walking. It's been proven that your maximum fat burning for the effort is when you're walking and your heart rate is in that 130 to 140 range. The only other exercise that's really super beneficial that does kick up metabolism and fat burning for a whole 24 hours is high intensity interval training. You can do that for like 20 minutes, but I can't do that because of my foot. I used to do the jogging or this jumping or this running in place thing I would do. And basically, so you go all out as fast as you can go for 1 minute. And then you stop and just rest for 1 minute. Then you go all out for 1 minute. And when all out, I mean, it's everything you can do till you're hurting and you're dying. And you're like, I can't go any faster, but you still keep trying to go faster for 1 minute. Then you rest a minute. And you do that for 20 minutes total. It's a killer workout, but it only takes 20. You can actually get huge benefits from doing it 10. I was so unhealthy, that's what I basically did. My goal was to get to 10. Some days it'd be 6 minutes, some days it'd be 10. But I'm going to tell you, my VO2 max, my oxygen intake, and all that stuff, my lung capacity opened up. And you don't do that every day either. You only have to do it every other day. So that's the only other I would consider, but I can't do that. I've tried to figure out a way to do it. I even tried pedaling a bike. Because you can do it on a bike. You can spin till you feel like you're going to spin your guts out for a minute and then rest and then slow down and just barely pedal for a minute and then spin like you're going to spin your guts out for a minute. But even doing that, my foot, it was very precarious. It's just not good. So there's no other kind of exercise I can do high intensity interval training. So I'm sticking with the walking. Trying to walk a couple of miles a day. I'm not to the point I can do that all at once for a couple of reasons. One, when you have a pulmonary embolism in your lungs, boy, it just greatly reduces your ability to breathe. Like, I can't breathe. I'd say I can probably only breathe about 60% as good as I could before I had the embolism. I've looked at the research on it. For some people, it resolves to close to 100%. For some people, it only resolves to like 70% of what you originally had. For some people, it never gets better and it just stays where it's at. So, that's what happens. Things happen in life and you just got to roll with them. So I'm still going to be optimistic and hope I regain 100% until I'm shown otherwise. But I can walk about a mile somewhere in that vicinity and be kind of okay. But boy, past that, I really feel like it's hard to start breathing at that point. So that's my exercise goal, and I recommend that for anybody, man. Just a good solid walking plan. Like I talked to somebody day before yesterday, said they don't have time to do anything. If you say you don't have time to do anything, you can do this, and it's the minimum you should do, and it's very effective. You wouldn't think it'd be effective, but it is. There's tons of research supporting how effective it is for weight loss and general overall health. And that's walking 20 minutes at a moderate to brisk pace 3 times a week. Now, you can't tell me that you can't come up with 1 hour out of your week. If you tell me that you don't have 1 hour out of 7 days, and it ain't even 1 hour in the same day, it's only 20 minutes out of one day, then you pick another day and you got 20 minutes, and you pick another day, you got 20 minutes. If you're telling me that you can't find 3 different days out of 7 for 20 minutes, I'm sorry, I just don't believe you. I just believe you're making excuses. Preferably, walk 30 to 45 minutes every day is good. Nevertheless, I'm going to try to do walking. I used to have such a passion for walking back before I got injured. And I loved it. Like, I'd always hated it, and I found something that didn't kill me. Look, when you weigh as much as I weigh, people that are smaller don't understand the toll it takes on your body just to walk. They don't understand what an accomplishment that is. So I was pushing it further and further, faster and faster. I think I got my mile pace down to around 11 minutes or 12, which is really good for walking. You're really hoofing it walking, I think, a 12-minute mile. And now, of course, I'm back down to like a 20-minute mile. So I know it's not great, but I'm carrying the weight of 2 people around. So if you're one of these 190-pound people talking about that don't sound like a lot, well, take another 190-pound person and put them on your shoulders and get out and slug that same mile and tell me what it feels like. I don't compete with anybody. I don't compete with you. I don't compete with people I see in fitness videos. I don't compete with fitness experts and gurus. I don't compete with people that I follow on social media who are into health and weight loss and fitness. I compete with myself. I try to do the very best that I can every time that I can. And there's some days I can't do nothing. There's some days I can only do very little. There's some days I exceed my expectation. But at the end of the day, if I feel like I pushed myself to do all that I could do, I'm very satisfied with it. And I just try to get better and better. And I have. I'll give you an example. And I'm going to wind this podcast up in a second. But I'll give you an example. After my pulmonary embolism, I was so winded. It really was difficult just walking to the kitchen and back, or walking to the bathroom and back, or whatever. And I do like 100 steps, I'd go like 100 steps, and I could do that 2-3 times a day. And the next thing you know, I was doing 500 steps a day, and the next thing you know, I was doing 750 and 1,000, and then I got to where I was pushing 2,000, and I was so pleased with that. I'm like, God, I've come such a long way. Then it was 3,000, then it was 4,000, then it was 5, then it was 6, and then yesterday I hit over 9,000 steps yesterday. And if you just don't understand, there's so much when you compete with yourself. The only way you can ever be disappointed is if you don't live up to yourself. Like, I see so many people disappointed because their butt doesn't look like somebody else's butt. Their boobs don't look like somebody else's boob. Your biceps don't look like somebody else's. Your weight isn't somebody else's. You're just always in competition with somebody else. All you can be is the best you can be. And you know what? A lot of us drew the short end of the stick. A lot of us did. We're just never going to be super attractive. We're just never going to have that body that somebody else is going to. All you can have is the best body you can have. All you can have is the best health you can have. Like, I feel like I'm saddled now. I feel like I'm, it wasn't that long ago, before the foot broke this year, I was so optimistic. I have not had health problems my whole life, and I'm very blessed for that. And then I hit this age, and then this year it's all come down on me. A broken foot that won't heal. That's just a nightmare. And I've talked to so many people that said, buddy, you can keep trying, but I see it too many times. People with broke feet, especially in our age, they just don't ever heal right. It's just never going to be right. And that's disappointing to me. Now I have this propensity to blood clots, which is terrifying. I have this higher propensity to have embolisms, pulmonary embolisms, which are just dangerous and scary and deadly. And I'm on blood thinners now every day. And boy, you look at the side effects of blood. I looked at them again yesterday. There's a bunch more on there that I didn't even see on the original sheet. And I believe I'm suffering one of them. I'm suffering bradycardia at night. At night, my heart rate drops down into the 40s, 40, 42, 43 beats a minute, which is low. Nevertheless, I said all that to say this. I can't compete with you or anybody else. I can only compete with myself. I can only try to compete with how well I do with this foot. Like, I have this foot, and I can only compete with myself as to how much I can do with it. I can't compete with how much you do with yours, because we don't have the same foot. And the same goes for every other part of me. I can't, my body, I can't compete my body with yours, because this is what I was given. It's the best I got, and I can only strive to get it to be the best that it can be. And then if you want to talk about vanity and the like, I can never look any better than I can look. My bone structure and my eyes and my skin and my shape of my face and stuff, it just is what it is. I can never improve it past a certain point. I can get rid of the double chin. I try to lose some weight off the cheeks and such, and you can look better. But you can only compete with yourself. And I can't tell you how hard that was of a lesson for me to learn, because it was. It was such a hard lesson. But I got to tell you, the whole point that I started trying to make 10 minutes ago, and I'm sorry that I rambled, is that walking gives me such a sense of accomplishment. If I can hit the same I hit yesterday, or if I wake up today and let's say like this morning, I woke up and my foot was dying from yesterday because I was walking, and I pushed it. I did over 9,000 steps yesterday, which was a way high record for me. And I want to say I was at around the 6, 7,000 step range when I stumbled a little bit with my left foot and it went to twist, and I immediately took my weight off and shifted to my right, which threw all of this weird force and angle on my right foot, which is the broken, jacked up one, and the pain shot through it like a lightning, and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? I hobbled for, 50 to 100 steps, and I'm like, okay, I can still make it. It doesn't feel like I did anything to the left foot. I was worried that I might have twisted that thing or sprained it or something, but it's feeling okay. So what in the world did I do to the right one? Have I set myself back? Have I made a bad situation worse? Oh, help me. But I gutted it out. Made over 9,000 steps. I was shooting for 10, and I just didn't get there. But I was happy. And I got up today, and that foot was so painful. I iced it last night, off and on with the ice, and did everything I could. And I got up today, and I had no expectations. Matter of fact, I told my friend that I was talking about earlier, I talked to her, and I'm like, look, today's just going to be a take it easy day. Maybe I can get in 500,000 steps, 1,500, 2,000 or something. I don't know about this foot. But you know what? I got up. I got to walking around. We got broken in a little bit. The pain was tolerable. I didn't feel like I'd probably really hurt it much worse. That it just maybe was tweaked a little bit. Felt better and better about it. And the next thing you know, I'm banging out a mile. And then I go a little bit later, I'm banging out another half a mile. I think I might get in another half a mile before the day is over. And so I'm competing with myself. And so I'm not going to hit 9,000 today. But my competition level was 0 when I woke up today. I didn't think I was going to be doing anything. And I've got a mile and a half in. So that's the exhilaration you get when you compete with yourself. You challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to do better. Challenge yourself to eat better. And my other piece of advice was I always used to tell people, you have to look at this eating right as a game. Like it has to be something you can win. People are like, I don't know how you can eat every day. Look, I'm not perfect. I have days where I screw up. I'm just going to be honest with you. But on the days and the long stretches where I don't and I do well, that's why I think tracking is so important. People are like, I don't want to track my stuff in a food tracker on my phone. It's so annoying. Well, it turns into a video game for me. I like seeing what carbs I can hit. I like seeing, can I be under 10 today? And my goal is to be under 20. Can I make it 15? My goal is to be under 20. I made it 10 carbs today? Holy cow. My goal is to be under 20. And last week I had a day where I had 2 carbs. That's insane. I look at little things I'd like to tweak. I'm like, I'm not getting quite enough of this in my diet. It looks like I need more of this. And so I'll try to eat foods around that. And then when I look in there and I look at the micronutrient part and I see that I hit that goal for that day, it's like, it's like this is old school now because I'm not into video games. But it's like when Mario used to jump up and he'd hit that brick above his head and the mushroom would pop out of it. That's what happens when you are tracking and you're trying to do the best you can and you're competing with yourself. And you're like, what is the best level of excellence I can get out of myself today in all these areas? And it's just so rewarding. And that brings endorphins to your brain and you start finding this happiness factor happening. And so I'm starting to feel all that again, and I honestly haven't felt it in a while, but I've been getting the food on point. I've been feeling very well about my dietary choices, my nutrition choices, my ability to deal with them. I'm feeling very good about my walking and moving around and mobility. I'm really happy to be alive today because a month ago I didn't even know how much longer I'd live. It was so up in the air. Nobody could tell me, and I was looking at the research and it was everything from I had a 50% chance of dying the first 7 days to the first 30 days having a 20% chance. Seemed to be about the best I could find. And I'm like, oh, crap. A month ago, I felt like my chances of dying were super slim. And today they're 50-50. How do I suddenly... But you know what? There's a lot of people didn't wake up at all today. They didn't have a 50-50 shot. And I kept trying to look at that, even though I'd get down a little, I'd get up a little, I'd bring myself back to that, and I'd be like, there's somebody did not wake up today. Not only that, but some people that had no clue. Some people that went to bed the night before, thought everything was fine. They had no clue that they were at death's door, and they just didn't wake up to see today. And I woke up today, I got a 50-50 shot. I'm so much, I'm just so blessed and thankful. And I'll tell you something else I've started doing when I'm walking, because you have to do something to pass the time. And I like listening to music and all that, and that's fine. But one of these new things I've started doing, for as much as my walk as I can, I am out loud telling myself the things I'm grateful for. And I did a full 25 minutes today. It was about 20 minutes. Just a full 20 minutes of I'm thankful for this, I'm grateful for this, I'm blessed because of this. And not only are you getting the endorphins from the walk, you're getting the endorphins from the sense of accomplishment, you're also getting those psychological endorphins from recognizing the things that you have in your life to be grateful for. And look, I feel physically, no, I can't say physically, because I can't say physically that I feel better than I've felt in years, because I don't. I feel better than I've felt in weeks, because it's been a bad year. I've just been sick a lot this year, and then I had the broke foot and the blood clots and the DVT and the embolisms, and so. But mentally, I can say I feel better than I've felt in years for sure. That's easy, and so I'm hoping to continue it. Keep challenging myself. That is my November goals, man. I hope something I said in this podcast, if it was just one sentence that clicked with you and you went, oh, yes, that, then this has been time well spent for me. If you want to join me on my challenge for November, lose 4% of my weight is what I'm going to do. You want to lose 4% of yours? You want to try it with me? Come on. The holidays are here. Going to be overeating. It's time to nail it down. It is time to nail it down. That doesn't mean you have to skip the holidays. I plan on eating a little bit of good stuff on the holidays for Thanksgiving. Hopefully I get invited somewhere good. I don't know. Never know. But I'm not going to blow it all out on Thanksgiving unless something horrible happens. But I'm going to eat a little bit of good food on Thanksgiving. But I'm still going to hit that 15-day goal. I'm going to hit it. Or 15-pound goal. It's 4% of body weight. Just put your body weight in a calculator. Let's say you weigh 225. Put 225 in there. Multiply times 0.04. And whatever that number is, that's the amount of pounds you need to lose in November. Round it down if it's 0.4 on the end or less. Round it up if it's 0.5 on the end or more. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast. Thank you for going and giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts or the Google Play Store or wherever you get this podcast. People all the time, well, not all the time, but from time to time will thank me for this, that, and the other. And the best way you can thank me is with your time of 2 minutes going and rating this podcast. Because that's how, especially Apple determines who gets to hear it, man. They'll share it and show it, let it pop up in people's recommended feed or related feed if it gets rated well or something. But I don't think I've received a rating in quite some time. And I know how many people listen. I had record number of downloads last week. Record. I hit a record. And I got no feedback. I got no 4 stars, no 5 stars, no comments about enjoying the podcast. So if you want to repay me in some small way, or you just want to help me, not even repay me, you just want to help me, just say, oh, I like help this guy. Seems like he's giving. Go to Apple Podcasts and rate the podcast for me. 5 stars would be greatly appreciated, with a comment about something that I've done to help you. And follow us on social media. Fat Guy Podcast is the username. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks again.